Hello. So look, we're on time yet again. Hello, everybody. My name is Linda Murray Bullard. They call me the business plug. And so today I am plugging you in to the Business Plugs Mixer. I have a treat for you guys. I don't care if you're in business or if you're in school, if you're trying to better yourself, if you're trying to do whatever you're trying to do, you want to lean into this conversation because we're going to have a lot of good things going on. But let me tell you about a couple of things first, and then I'm going to let my guest introduce her fabulous self, and we're going to go on from there. So the first thing I need to tell you about is I need to tell you about Thursday. So have you ever thought about how does it feel to think like an entrepreneur? Like, what is an entrepreneur mindset? A lot of people who are employees have that employee mentality when they're trying to manage a business. But let me just tell you that doesn't work. So I am going to teach you how to create an entrepreneur's mindset on Thursday at 7 o'clock Eastern. I'm doing a Facebook Live. You can go over and get your ticket, go to the events, and look at the business plan, how to think like an entrepreneur. Those tickets are live now. They're only $14.99. So those tickets are live now. Go ahead and get your ticket. Also, on November 7th, on every Saturday for 12 weeks, I'm going to teach you how to build your own business. And so that course is a facilitated course by moi, facilitated course every Saturday morning, 9 to 12. I'm going to teach you from the ground up, from how you manage as a leader to how to build out your dreams and ambitions. So we're doing that. So I will put that link. In fact, that link is already in the chat. Hey, Ryan. So Ryan is joining us. The funnel doctor's in the house. Thank you for joining us, Ryan. So yeah, so now it's time for me to introduce my guest. My pleasure to get this lady here. So hey, Kaywanda, how are you?
Hey, Linda. Thanks for having me. I'm good. Hey, everybody. Hey, Ryan.
So yeah, so introduce yourself, honey. They need to know about your awesome self.
Oh, well, thank you so much, first of all, for having me. I love everything that you're doing. So, hey, hola, hola, hola a todos. Hey, guys, my name is Kaywanda Lamb, and I'm the CEO and founder of Spanish for Small Business. And I help entrepreneurs like you, small business owners, those who want to get their feet wet, learn Spanish, but not just any old Spanish, conversational Spanish for your business. So that means, how do you get closer to your customer? How do you connect with them? How do you get the sale? How do you make sure they keep on coming back? That's what we talk about. And so I've been doing this, a really long time. I've been a Spanish teacher for 15 years. I have a master's in Spanish Lit, and I'm African American. I've worked in corporate, I've worked in education, and this is 25 years of speaking Spanish. And so I'd love to help you and your team. But that's what I do, Linda. That's what I do.
That
And I
is
make it
marvelous.
easy. It's not a grade. It's not school. It's fun. It's fun. But we
Yeah,
learn.
I love that. I love that. I was just talking to introducing your concept to one of my friends, and I said she's African American and she teaches people how to speak Spanish. I think it's just super cool. I think it's so cool. So yeah, so talk about, you also have a single mothers network too as well, right?
I do. So, in addition to being a Spanish teacher, I am a single mother. I've actually raised my boys and taken care of them, working in education for 15 years. And so, I actually moved my two little boys when they were 4 and 6 from Louisiana to come to my second teaching job in Texas. And the rest is history. I guess I'm a Texas girl now. But I have a heart for single mothers. People kept asking me when I moved to Texas, like, why are your kids so well behaved, and how do you do this, and why are you so happy? And so after a gazillion people, married and single, asking me that, I realized God was telling me it was time to tell my story. So I run two brands. I run kwandalam.com, which is the home for single moms on the web, and I run Spanish for Small Business. So these are both businesses that come from my passions and from my heart and from who I am. And so God has just gifted me with the talent to be able to teach. And I love doing it.
Absolutely.
Single
I
mothers how to
love it. I love it. I love it. And you're good at it, honey.
Thank you.
I've seen the comments. You are great at it. So let's talk about, because I have a lot of startups that follow me, people who have an idea. And
Yes.
so how do you go from your idea to implementing something that's non-traditional, right? Because there's not a lot of African Americans teaching Spanish to people in business. I just feel like that's unique.
Exactly.
So
It is. It is. There are a few of us, but it is unique. And so I will tell you that people were asking me the way you know that your, Pat Flynn talks about this. He says, will it fly? How do you know if your
mm,
business idea will fly? Well, the way that I knew that my business idea would fly is people kept coming to me asking me to do it. So for years, I was just teaching and I was building the single mom brand, helping single mothers, doing all of that. And when folks found out that I had a day job, they'd be like, oh, I thought you did this all day. And I was like, no, I have a day job, right? And they were like, well, what is it? And I was like, I teach Spanish. You teach Spanish? Can you teach me Spanish? And so I thought they were joking. So I would go, you don't want to learn Spanish. And so many people kept asking. So I started to test my idea. So I will tell those of you who are out there, one, if people keep asking you to do it, if people are asking you to do it right now for free, it's time to start charging them. And if you just, something is in you that's saying, launch it, do it, it's calling you. That's God saying, this is going to work.
absolutely, absolutely. It reminds me of the man who was in a boat and it had overturned, and God, he sent him a yacht, he sent him a cruiser, he sent all these people to save him. And the man was like, I'm just waiting on a sign. The Lord's gonna save me. He stood out there holding on to the boat that had turned over, and God kept sending him,
Help,
clues.
resources,
Yeah. And
absolutely.
then he drowned and went to heaven and said, Lord, I believed in you. I gave all my faith to you, but you never showed up for me. And God said, well, I sent you all this help and you didn't get it. I was waiting on a sign. I was waiting on a sign. So sometimes we wait on the wrong sign, right? We get
Absolutely.
signs. Just like you were saying, people will say, well, you need to teach this. Can you teach me that? Like there are things that we do repetitively that people ask us. They always, for me, it was come to speak. Can you come speak to my church? Because I did the youth message at my church for years before I
Mhm.
started doing public speaking. So it's something you already are doing that people have already recognized and said, hey, can you teach me? And so it's not hard, but sometimes I think we look for big ideas.
Yes. Or we say that we're too small. Really, what it is we don't think that people will pay us for it. Like you said, it's repetitive. We do it all the time. And the
Yeah,
truth is that that thing that we do, like me speaking Spanish, I've been doing it for so long, right? I love it. I'm interested in it. I went another level to get my master's. One day I'll get a PhD just for fun, right? And other things. And, that comes easy to me because I'm interested in it. But will somebody else want to do it? And so it was all about me saying, let me test this idea. Let me see. Let me, get a group of people. I started at a really low price point. I was like, oh, this is a lot of work. So, we can talk about pricing and, charging your worth and all that stuff, learning later on. Man, I
absolutely.
in my single mom biz too, I overgave, over delivered. I was like, why aren't people buying coaching? Oh, I've coached them, to heaven on my discovery calls. I've given them everything they need. Listen, honey,
They're
please,
like, thank you, ma'am, for the
thank
freebie,
you,
and I'll
thank
go
you,
implement.
thank you. So anyway, the point to the story is exactly what Linda is saying. Test your idea and stop waiting on a sign. Test your idea. When I think about Vera Wang and so many of these great entrepreneurs that we see who've gone on to make millions, and we find out that they started in their 40s. There are people who started in their 50s. There are people who are starting in their 60s. One of my professors in college was 80 something. And when I tell you, I loved listening to this man and his stories and his life travels and the way he delivered information. And so it's never too late. So if you've been thinking it's too late, it's not.
It's
But Linda,
not.
you said something when you talked about your class that you're going to be teaching. We need to know how to go from an employee mindset to being the employer, to being the entrepreneur, because
Absolutely.
it's different out here. It's
It
different.
is different out here in these entrepreneur streets. It is different. And that's the thing is the class that I have teaches confidence so that you can make the business decision based on data. And what is that data? And how do you read it? And how do you infuse it in your business? Like a lot of what I find with a lot of new businesses is they just want to sell something, and that's a start. That's a good place.
Mhm.
But there's a whole lot more than just selling something, right? There's systems and structure and how do you market? What is
Messaging,
market?
your
Yeah,
niche, who is it? Who is the person
yeah,
that's supposed to
yeah,
buy
yeah.
it? So much, right? I had to delve
Right.
to figure out who the single mom was that would connect with me, that would hear my message. And it took me a few years, but it didn't stop me from trying, and it didn't stop me from writing, and it didn't stop me from getting out there and putting myself out there. But even the same thing that I had to do in my single mom brand, figuring out who my customer was, I've had to do in my Spanish brand, right? And it's
Yeah.
constantly evolving. And so for anybody out there who's thinking about entrepreneurship, listen, consume all you can, learn all you can. A lot of us started, we picked up that idea and we threw it up against the wall to see if it would stick. We do
Absolutely.
not recommend this.
No, no, no.
Lots of
And for
money,
that,
thousands of dollars later.
but success leaves clues, right?
Yes,
So, and that's why you would sit at the foot of somebody that's in your industry and let them mentor you through those startup years,
yes,
right?
yes.
Because the information, like there's some free information out there, but you won't be able to scale on free. You have to invest because some of those investments were, but other investments were well worth it, right?
Hmm.
So understand because when the last time you and I were in a session, we were in Paul C. Bronson's, and
Hmm.
that's where I became the business plug. And I've been the
Oh, wow.
business plug, yeah, and that I've been the business plug ever since that hot seat,
Did
right?
Paul name you?
He named me. he named he named me. He said, wait a minute. I know who you are, and so he helped me find myself. But but
Yes,
but but that was well worth it. That was over in Barbados. That was the first
yes.
time being in Barbados. But
Shout
yeah, but
out to Paul C. Brunson. Yes, we had so much
shout
fun
out
on
to
that
Paul.
trip. You remember how he did me? You remember how
Yeah.
he did me? Oh my
Oh
God.
yeah.
You don't say what
One
Paul
thing.
told
Get to
us.
one thing. Get to one thing, Kay.
He said some other words. And so when I finally took the leap, and I sent him a message last year when he was still in London, and he was like, sis, this is it. This is it. So I appreciate him and his foresight and his wisdom. And like you said, listening to people who have been where you want to go. I
Yes.
have a mom client right now. I work with a few moms throughout the year, helping them to build out their businesses. Listen, I am a working woman. Do you hear me? And so this particular client is going by leaps and bounds. I'm looking at what I'm helping her do and what I'm able to tell her and teach her from my trial and error over 7 years.
Yeah.
And then the money that I've spent in masterminds and going to Barbados and going to DC and all these conferences and things, being able to take that bite size, give it to her, and she's able to implement a business. And so,
Absolutely.
man, I'm telling
Yeah.
you, she just said something. Go to people who know what they're talking about.
Yes, yes, and that's the thing, and that's where the return on the investment, because it's rinse and repeat.
Hmm.
Like it doesn't matter what happens in business, we already have strategies that we can rinse and repeat, and we got it from people who are already before us. So
Hmm.
the understanding that portion of it, and understanding that the investment is worth it, simply because you use it over and over and over again. It doesn't matter how many businesses you set up, it still works. The system still works. Yeah. So understanding, yeah. So talk about your ideal Spanish or not
Client or avatar.
non-Spanish. Yeah, you're an ideal person. Like, what does that business owner look like? Who should be listening and who should be contacting you so
Hmm.
that they can put Spanish in their businesses?
Well, I named my website Spanish for Small Business because I recognize that a lot of times the big boys, the big businesses, they have money for training. They have, budgets already set aside and they have training departments. I used to work for Chase Home Finance. Before I got into education, I worked for them for 6 years. I enjoyed my time working for them. They actually paid for my Spanish degree. Shout out to Chase, right?
Yeah, yeah, we
So
like Chase.
so I have the understanding of how corporate America works, entrepreneurship, and working in education. So you get what I'm saying? I tie all of that in together. So when somebody comes to me and they've started their own business, no matter what that industry is, like you said, success leaves clues, businesses, they typically have some of the same functions. I've been able to pay attention to that and tailor what they need in a logical manner that doesn't overwhelm them. So who is a typical ideal customer for me? Most of my clients have been African American. I don't know if that's because I'm African American and they feel comfortable with me, but I'm appreciative. But everybody is welcome, okay? And
Yeah,
so they are, definitely they've been in their business for a while. They have disposable income to dedicate to learning a language because I'm condensing years of what you would have done in college. You don't need a college degree, right? You don't
mm,
want a degree in Spanish. You just want to be able to talk to your customer. So I'm taking what I know, putting it into a few months of working with me together, and tailoring it so that you go back and you can do your whole process in Spanish. And that's
Wow.
working together one on one. So they have some disposable income, they have a desire, and they have a customer base that either they're currently serving and they're having some issues serving them because of the language barrier, or
Yeah.
get into that market. And so this is why they want to learn Spanish. So most people that come to me, they're either, in healthcare, they're in legal, they're in technology, or they created a business like I have that doesn't exist, right? And
Mm.
they want to tailor Spanish to that. So and what's interesting is I'm starting to pay attention to the age of most of my clients. They're in their 40s. They're in their
Mm-hmm.
30s, late 30s to early 40s, and they have already an appreciation for the Hispanic community, and they really want to learn Spanish. So
Absolutely.
yeah. I wish I definitely want to be able to work with bigger companies. We're branching out to be able to do that. And listen, if you guys need us, we'd love to come train your teams. But I realize that there is a gap and our small businesses are missing out. And so that's why I decided to serve small businesses.
That's good stuff. That's good stuff. And so
Hola.
and so you're leaving money on the table. Like you don't even know that you're leaving money on the table if you're not inclusive in how you look at your clients, because people across the language barriers, they still want to learn or want to purchase or want to, be your customer too. Well, they
Mhm.
have the same needs. It's just how do we communicate with them effectively?
That we have what they need. So I did some research. This was when I was on Paul's pitch competition, where I got third place, and I think I should have been higher up, but whatever. Okay, whatever. I kind of think I should have
You
been first.
digress.
Okay, but since the reason wasn't really wasn't a prize, I'm okay. I was like, hold up, now didn't they say I should win? But I remember I did a little
I love
research,
it.
and salty. How many months has it been? It's been 4. So 30 something million, about what, 33 million small businesses. We're the lifeblood in this country.
Yes.
4 million, about 4 million, close to 5 Hispanic owned businesses, 3 point something million Black owned businesses. We are a small percentage of that huge number. But look at
Mm-hmm.
how much our spending power is. So we're spending,
Mm.
spending, and spending. We're consumers and we're not producers. I would love to see us change the tide. So yes, I am going over venturing into African American now. And
But
I
that's okay.
and I do think that if we can get our minority populations to band together and to work together, we could change just the economic disparities that are here in this country. But overall, we have so many similarities. I mean, think about the foods we eat, the culture, the dance, the music. Man, listen, I haven't met a Hispanic person that I don't like at all. Every country I visit, whether I meet people in the US, outside the US, everybody's so inviting and so warm. And they
Absolutely.
love that I'm learning their language or know their language. And, depending on when I've gone out and traveled and studied abroad. And so I just want us to connect. I think that we can build better, learn better, and grow together if we learn how to.
Absolutely. And I think inclusion is paramount, regardless of what business you're in, regardless of what your ethnicity is. I
Mhm.
think that inclusion is necessary. I mean, because we are all, and just like we have things that they may want, they may have things that we want, right?
Absolutely.
But we've allowed the language barriers and the culture uh, differences to keep us from forming relationships that benefits everybody. And
Yes.
so just understand, because like you, I love traveling. I love traveling. I was telling my friend the other night that I think the more that I leave the border of the US and go and jump in other people's cultures and
Yes.
understand their way of thinking and how they live, and the more I think it makes me whole,
Yes.
right? And
It's
so I have a
absolutely beautiful. Absolutely
yeah,
beautiful.
yeah. I love that. I love traveling. I love to learn about new cultures and what people are doing. So I think that when you're open to understand that the world is bigger than the United States and that there are other ways of doing things than what we do here, then it just makes you a holistic, better person. And so yeah, so when you talk about, so this is any business in any industry
Mhm.
can actually work with you and turn their materials to Spanish.
Yes. We do
And
translation. We can do websites, documents. Currently, right now, I have like a mental health therapist, an attorney client. I have a doctoral student. I have a client that's in Bermuda who I love, who found me because of Paul's pitch competition. I've been working with her. She's international business owner, beautiful, amazing young lady who I hope to work with in my single mom brand at some point. So what's so many other people? Gosh, let me see. Just I do tutor students as well, and man, just people from so many different industries. And so I haven't found one yet that I'm like, I can't do it.
Oh, that's good. And see, that's what I love. I
Technology,
love
real
about coaching.
estate.
Yeah, that's what I love about coaching is you learn so much. I did a resume yesterday for a guy who is a welding inspector, and
Hmm.
he travels all around the country working for like Exxon and some of these big brands. But we get to learn about their industries. So when you're teaching, you get to
Hmm.
learn about anytime you're dealing with different businesses, you get to learn all about their industry. I love that.
It's amazing. I have
Yeah.
learned so much, and I ask questions, and so and then I'm always pulling things out of my client to figure out what they need next, right? And so one of the things that has blessed me from being an educator all these years, that I do in the classroom with my students, and I now do with my adult clients, is that I'm able to differentiate learning for them. So I
Mm.
create things that they need. I see things that they need. I see gaps that they have, and I know how to say, okay, we're going to go over this concept because of course I give them the basic foundation in Spanish, right? I teach them from
Hmm.
the ground up. I do assess them, but I teach them from the ground up. I teach them proper pronunciation. We talk about what they need. And then, like I said, it's amazing. We work together typically over 3 months. It's amazing what they're able to do by their fourth class. I'm always blown away. I'm like, you just learned 4 weeks ago.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
See, and it has to be exciting. Like
Yes.
how
It's,
many
it's
how many
rewarding.
business owners? Yeah, but how many business owners would welcome adding Spanish to their language, like their
Listen,
conversation?
to be able to
Because that
put on
opens
your
up a whole
website,
nother market.
se habla español, to be able to put on your door front, right? Se habla español, Spanish is spoken here. I mean, it's a plus. And so now that means you get more customers. Let's talk about it. One of my taglines for the business is connect with your customer, increase your bottom line. Because
Mm,
that's the biggest thing that when people want to learn a language, oh, I can make more money, I can get a better job, I can this, I can that. But you and I know that's great. That's great. And we want
oh
that.
yeah,
We
oh
want
yeah,
and I want companies to want to invest in their employees so that they get this skill set so that they can be more productive, but then also well-rounded. We talk a lot about soft skills and skills that they can transfer from job to job, but if you have the ability to be bilingual, even conversational just a little bit, right, that's
yeah,
going to help you. And so I'm listening to you and I'm thinking more so than just the bottom line is that it does make us better people because now we're able to
absolutely.
understand that cultural awareness that comes with learning a language, the sensitivity, and like you said,
Absolutely.
the diversity and inclusion piece is just so important. So I wish more
Absolutely.
people would open their minds to it. Yeah.
Exactly, because that's a whole nother mindfulness level, right?
Mhm.
That's understanding other people's cultures a little deeper, and so it becomes less us and them.
Mhm.
Anything that makes us less us and them and makes us
Yes.
we,
Mhm.
anything that pulls us into we is a good thing
Yes.
because it helps the whole community. You're able to talk, very about conversations about what you're doing to a point where they understand, and then they're able to tell you about their needs, and so you're able to help or provide resources or the bottom line will take care of itself if you do the other stuff,
Let me
right?
tell you that. Let me tell you that. I when I was working at Chase on Finance, I had a manager over me, and I remember him. He was just amazing. The way that he saw people. He was young. He was just a few years older than me, but the way that he saw his job and his role was to nurture the people that were under him. You know how sometimes it can be in corporate America. Everybody's the workhorse, and they're trying to make sure you meet your deadlines and your goals, and sometimes you just don't have good managers, right? And I wish corporations would pay more attention to that. Make sure you have key people in key positions. And that's what he said. He said, my job is to have key people in key positions so that people who are good at the work that they do are able to do it without me standing over them and micromanaging them. I'll never forget that. And he said, I try to make sure I have key people in key positions. So, in order to make our businesses work and to run as we're bringing on teams and team members, we need to have key people in key positions who have the skill set to notice if our workforce needs something and to give it to them. And
Absolutely.
it's more than just like having like people are really big on yoga and bringing that kind of stuff into the workplace. But that's great, and that helps us decompress. But what also helps us pass that? So being able, this, I think, especially in COVID and this pandemic, thinking about how else can we enrich our employees? How else can we make sure they want to stay with us? Right, that we're helping them grow
Mm-hmm.
because they're
Mm-hmm.
helping us grow our country, our companies. So just to kind of piggyback on what you were saying, I
Now
think
I
it's.
love that. I love that because it'll allow us to be more proactive than reactive,
Hmm.
right? And so in being proactive, then you notice those trends, those gaps, and you notice that there's a need. Well, what about if I take this product and we put it in Spanish, and now I'm able to give it to more people, which again goes to the bottom line.
Hmm. I mean,
Like
it all kind of goes to
it
the
just
bottom
makes
line.
sense. It
But the
makes
person
sense.
who is taking that class now, they're excited. They're learning something new. Their brain is adjusting and growing and forming. I'm not gonna even pretend that I'm a science person, but I'm like new synapses. I'm like I might have made that up, but y'all get what I'm saying. You get what I'm saying? Something's happening to
Absolutely.
the brain. And I will tell you, man, we could talk all day about the benefits of Spanish or learning any language and being bilingual. There is research that says people who bilingual brains, form Alzheimer's later, and some don't. And so,
Health reasons.
and I think it's because it's keeping our mind active. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So just so much interesting research behind it. But I'll tell you what, I love doing it, and I'm so happy to be your guest today. I've been lucky, I've been blessed. I haven't had a terrible client. I've enjoyed working with every last person. And this week I'm meeting with the lady who wants me to help translate her book into Spanish. And then she's a publisher, so I'm hoping that that'll bring other contracts. And so
Yeah.
I'm excited about that. So that was a big win this weekend to have
That
that.
is great. What a great win. That's a great win.
So,
Yeah. So
so, so for people like me who are published authors, thinking about putting your books into other languages, absolutely,
yeah, yeah. And so that's the thing is like the sky is the limit
it
to,
really
to
is.
what you can do with the language because everything that we've done in English, you can now transfer into another language. And then that opens up a newer market for you. I'll
Yeah.
never forget when I first did my book for my birthday. So I'm a giver. So on
Hmm.
my birthday, I decided for 48 hours to just give my book away, the ebook. And I people I had 751 downloads, and 51% of them were at Playa de Cama.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and I was
Wow.
like, wait a
En
minute.
Playa del Carmen, qué bueno. Wow. Qué interesante.
and
México.
I was like, oh, and so they passed it around to like the people that worked at this resort, and
Hmm.
and they were just giving it to everybody. And so
Wow.
51% of those downloads came from Mexico. Yeah,
Wow,
and I was like,
Mexico. I
I need
love
to
it.
get there. I need to
Yes,
get
you need to
there.
get there. They need to have you on as a special guest speaker there in Playa. Wow.
Yeah. So, but
Awesome.
it goes it underlines exactly what you're saying.
Hmm.
Is that we don't even know because they're very family driven, community based, and
Hmm.
so if your products are that nature, there's a whole audience that you haven't tapped into yet, and
Absolutely.
so that's another reason that they should be looking up Spanish for smallbusiness.com. They should be there now putting a bookmark.
Pronto, muy pronto, very fast. Yes, yes, yes. Schedule a discovery call. I'll be glad to chat with you. Um,
Absolutely.
Before we go, I did want to tell you what's so funny is one of my biggest supporters, a single mom. She found me a few years ago. She actually came to one of the brunches that I used to host, and she just fell in love with everything. Just she was buying everything I created, and she was really doing the work. And she went on vacation to Mexico, and she took my book, "Do It Anyway," which is all about thriving as a single mom. And she came back and she said, "I need to buy another book." I said, "What happened to your first book?" And she was like, I met a lady there who was a single mom in Mexico, and she saw me reading on the beach, and she asked me about the book, and she was like, "Oh my gosh, I wish there was something like this here for us." And she said I gave her my copy, so I need to order another one. So
Oh.
that was God saying, "Get this book into Spanish." So I have a surprise coming. I have a surprise coming this year for everybody. Finally, finally, finally.
That's good. That's good. So you're listening to the ships.
I am. I am. Listen, I am no longer letting my yacht pass by.
I
God is
love it.
saying, do this.
I love it. I love it. I love it. Well, I thank you so much for your
Thank
yes.
you.
I thank you for coming on and sharing your insight of how we can become, because I always like to introduce new thought patterns to this audience, because everybody's doing the entrepreneur stuff, right? But I
Mhm.
like to let them know who else is out there and what things like what you're doing that can help actually take their whole business to another level, take them as a business owner to another level,
Yes, yes, yes.
because it's for them as well as for their businesses. So I just thank you for so much for your yes, for coming to the mixer and just sharing your awesomeness, telling us about your genius. I just love that.
Thank you.
Yeah. So tell my audience where they can get in touch with you.
All right. So I am on social media everywhere as Kaywanda Lamb, the winning single mom. And then we also have started our social media for Spanish for Small Business. So if you look up Spanish for Small Business, we're out there too on Instagram and Facebook. Don't talk about me, Linda. Don't talk about me. So literally, I had the website. She mentioned Paul Carey Brunson. So Paul was like in 2017, he was like, get a website done this year. So I got the website done. So for me, I get business by referrals and word of mouth, and people find me and people refer me. So I never had to like really build out my social media and website. And so we're working on that this year. Finally, I'm working on doing better. But
That's okay. That's
so
when you're new, you're new.
and what's funny is I'm old, and then I build websites for people and help people with branding. But we help everybody else. Our stuff is undone.
But see, I can't even say anything because I do business plans, and it for years I didn't have a business plan.
Hmm.
Like people say, "Well, okay, do you have one?" I'm like, um, no.
It's in my head, but the truth is,
Yeah,
we do.
I have a plan, but it's not on paper.
It's in our head. It's in our head. So I'm finally, and I'll say this now. I know you only want to do it for 30 minutes. I'll say this. We sometimes we have to get out of our own way. Sometimes we just have to get out of our own way.
Yeah,
That's what
yeah.
I've been learning along the way. Get out of my own way.
Well, that's good. That's good. And that's so the one thing that you want to tell entrepreneurs, two things actually. So one thing that you want to leave telling the entrepreneurs, and then the one thing that you want to tell the people who are starting up. So
Okay.
those two things.
Okay. Fellow entrepreneurs, keep going. You can do this. You can do this. You can do this. And if you're feeling stuck, do like Linda said, reach out to your community, reach out to your accountability partners. If you don't have those, look around, ask us. We can help you find folks. And but God gave you the dream in your heart. Don't give up on it. Um,
Absolutely.
New folks who are starting out, look to find mentors. People ask me all the time to mentor. I have zero time, and I apologize. One day I'll be there. When I'm sitting on millions, I'll have time to mentor. Okay, but for right now, I offer paid coaching. Okay, and I give lots of free stuff away. So just be grabbing those nuggets. I have so many testimonials of people being like, "Oh my God, my life changed just grabbing your nuggets." So be listening for the nuggets. But I will say this to you. When you're starting out, take that dream, take that plan, take those ideas, write them down, keep them sacred. When you're meeting different people, don't share all of your dream with them, because there are
Mm,
people out here who will take your dream and run with it before you get it started. I didn't say that to scare you. I'm saying that based on what I've learned. But the idea that you have will work. Okay. You just have to see it through and do like Linda said and put a plan to it. And so she talked about how she's going to be having an entrepreneurship course for 12 weeks. Let me tell you something. I wish it existed when I started, because everything that I'm doing, I found out by trial and error, throwing it up against the wall, seeing if it would stick, trying again. You cannot give up on your dream. You cannot give up on your dream. Don't give
absolutely. Don't give up. Don't give up, because it does come that whole memo that you got that said you need to be an entrepreneur, that came from somewhere. Like that was implanted. That was not something that you just happened upon. We think very differently. What entrepreneurs, our thought processes are we see opportunity in almost everything. Like you
Mhm.
heard her say while we were talking, she said, "Oh, and you just mentioned that, so now let's have another." That's entrepreneur life. I mean, you hear things and it catches on, and you come up with oh, I need to do this. Oh, I need to do that. Like it's not that you're not listening. It's just that your brain is also processing on,
Mhm.
okay, how can I make that happen? And so that's what we're talking about on Thursday. I'm going to teach you how to do that. I'm teaching people how to think like an entrepreneur. Thursday at 7 o'clock. It is a Facebook Live event. It's $14.99, so it's affordable. But you can go get your ticket now. I have a link in this conversation. You can go ahead and click the link, get your ticket, and I'll see you Thursday. I am facilitating that event, and we will talk about how to get you to think like an entrepreneur. In fact, Kaywanda, I am using the first module of what I do for the 12 weeks. So
Mm-hmm.
they'll actually get to see what the study is like. They'll get to listen to the videos of experts who are like Indiegogo and some of the big like Home Depot and a lot of the founders of really large scale businesses. They'll get to listen to their feedback. I looked at last night. Facebook did Black Entrepreneur Day, and they had like Shaq and Gabrielle Union and D Wade and all of them, and Damon John
Mm-hmm.
was the MC for it. It was wonderful. Like this imagine that course in 12 weeks that has that same kind of vibe, that same kind of entrepreneurs telling you how to make it work. Like that's what the class is about. So it's very interactive. It has people from that are actually killing the game, that are feeding information to you for 12 solid weeks. Also, I have people like Kaywanda come in and share nuggets.
Mm-hmm.
Look, no response.
There, listen, we haven't even, I'm sorry, I apologize. We haven't even been able to share nuggets. Like, I
Yeah.
haven't been able to give you what we could give you. So definitely, definitely get into Linda's course. Get into
Yeah,
Linda's
so
course.
yeah, exactly. So people come by the class and they share nuggets. We had Gabby's Bowls. We had Rosalind come and
Mm-hmm.
just mesmerized the last class, talking about how they started from just doing Facebook Lives to now she's 14 years old, making seven figures in the seventh grade. I mean, we talked about things like that, that are real things that are happening out here in these entrepreneur streets. And
Mm-hmm.
so the class is evidence based. It comes from the Kauffman Foundation, and it starts on November 7th. I have a link in this chat where you can actually sign up tonight. $50 holds your seat. And then we'll have a conversation. I do the welcome call. I welcome you in and tell you what to expect. And so we are trying to build this out. My name is Linda Murray Bullard. They call me the business plug. And tonight I just plugged you into Kaywanda Lamb, who's going to tell you how to put Spanish in your small business. You guys come back next Sunday at 7 o'clock Eastern, and we'll have some more for you. You need to get in the mixer. Share this on your page. Tell this to your friends. Brenda, thank you for joining us. John, thank you. It's good to see you here as well. LinkedIn, I love you guys. Thank you for giving us live access. And Facebook Live, we'll see you guys soon. So you all have a great Sunday, and we'll see you next week. Bye.